Hi, it's Dr. Kristy here. Welcome back to Spacious Success. Somewhere in your workplace this week, someone approved another piece of AI software. Another platform, another license, another perennial promise that everything's about to get faster, better, sharper, more efficient. And in that meeting, almost nobody asked the one question that I believe actually determines whether any of this AI will work. Do the humans being using it have the capacity to leverage it? That's what we're unpacking in today's episode. Not whether AI is good or bad, that's a redundant conversation. Not whether you should be using it, but the thing that almost every organization and every ambitious person that I know is getting wrong about AI. I think we keep investing in our digital capital and almost nothing in the human capital required to run AI well. By the end of this episode, hopefully you're going to understand why your biology, not your skill, not your effort, is the real constraint on how much value your organization gets from every new tool that you adopt. Hopefully you're going to leave with a way to protect the one asset that none of this can work without: your brain, your HOS. So let's get into it. Hi, I'm Dr. Kristy Goodwin, a Neuro-Performance scientist, speaker, and executive coach who learned the hard way that chasing success can come at a cost. After burnout landed me in hospital, I made it my mission to help ambitious women who are done trading their health and happiness for high performance. On Spacious Success, I share science-backed strategies and real stories to help you flourish as a female at work and beyond, so you can stop paying the success tax. You see, here's the belief sitting underneath almost every single conversation I'm currently having with leaders and with the women that I get to coach right now. If I just get better at the tools, if I learn AI better, if I adopt it properly, if I just keep up, I'm going to get ahead. And every organization I walk into has spent the last couple of years, definitely the last few months, pouring money into digital transformation, new platforms, new tools, now AI. And underneath every dollar spent on that digital capital sits an assumption, a false assumption that nobody's tested or questioned. And that is that the human beings operating these tools have the capacity to actually use them. And they don't. Because today people are stressed, depleted, exhausted because of our biology. There's something else I see in the rooms right now where I speak, and I want to name it because you're probably, maybe you're feeling it too. It's a strange, contradictory cocktail. Excitement, awe at how fast this technology is moving, sitting right alongside a quiet, low-grade anxiety about what it means for how we work and whether we can keep up. Now, both of those feelings are valid, both of those things can be true, and I think both of those things are happening at the same time, often in the same hour. I want to introduce you to a concept that I've called the bandwidth gap. Picture two lines on a graph. One is AI capability. It climbs steeply and it just keeps climbing because that's what exponential technology growth is doing. It compounds. Now, the second line below it is our human cognitive capacity. It barely moves. It creeps up gently, the way that it always has, because your brain isn't compounding. It isn't doubling every 18 months. It's running on the same biological hardware that it's run on for roughly the last 100,000 years. The gap between where those two lines sit is what I call the bandwidth gap. And the gap is the success tax. That's when it gets paid. Not by the organization, but by the individuals struggling to keep up in their energy, in their focus, in their decision-making quality, and eventually in their health, well-being, and relationships. And here's what the research is now confirming. The World Health Organization estimates that the global economy is losing around 12 billion working days every year due to mental health challenges. These are not a soft wellness statistic. That's a productivity statistic sitting right at the center of any AI conversation. The McKinsey Health Institute, who is working in partnership with the World Economic Forum, have recently put a name to it. They're calling this brain capital. They're suggesting that it's the combination of brain health, brain skills that are required to actually thrive in the age of AI. Not digital literacy skills, not AI competencies. Their research is blunt about it. Around 1 in 5 employees, they believe, are currently reporting symptoms of burnout at the exact same moment that their organisations are racing to scale and adopt AI. Their conclusion is the one that I want you to sit with. AI value will be constrained by human capacity, not by technology. Not by which model you use, not by which platform you buy, but by whether the humans who are running it have anything left in their tank to give. Here's the part that doesn't get said out loud enough in the boardrooms that I'm part of. When an organisation hands a depleted, cognitively overloaded team a genuinely powerful piece of technology, a tool, the value doesn't disappear. It leaks. The wider the gap between what the technology can do and what humans have the capacity to actually absorb, apply, and judge well, the more potential the value of that value is lost before it ever reaches your bottom line. You can buy the most capable AI stack in the world. If the humans running it are powered down, depleted, burnt out versions of themselves, you've bought yourself a very expensive and large leak. Now, let's run this through the lens of what I call your human operating system, your HOS. AI doesn't just remove routine work. It can do that. It's removing the easy stuff and it's leaving us with the hard stuff, the judgment calls, the creative problem solving, the analysis, the deep focused work that we need to ascertain whether what the AI has produced is valuable. Those decisions now land on your desk because a machine can draft the email, but it can't decide what actually needs to be said, to whom and why. That's a heavier cognitive load. It's not a lighter one. Work is shifting from execution to more demanding judgment, and judgment is cognitively expensive. It costs glucose, it costs your sleep, it costs recovery in a way that ticking off a to-do list never traditionally did. And if you've been listening to earlier episodes, you know that women are walking into this shift already running what I call a cognitive deficit. We've talked about the stress superstorm, about how our biology, beliefs, and bias are simultaneously colliding. We've talked about the invisible labour, the invisible load that often never makes it into job descriptions, the digital load, the increased caring and domestic responsibilities, and the king-keeping roles that many females perform. Layer in the AI shift on top of that, and the biological gap, I believe, is even wider for women because it is women in the workforce who are observing these changes and seeing that people are worried, anxious, nervous, apprehensive. And because of this king-keeping role we tend to adopt, we are absorbing some of this emotional load in our workplaces. Now, we are often coming into work already depleted. This is a pronounced problem, and I believe it is going to exacerbate the already wide gender well-being gap. So what do you actually do with this? The research, I think, points to 5 levers, and I want to translate them into language that fits your human operating system, because knowing this and applying this, I think, are 2 different things. Number 1, you've got to calibrate your cognitive load. As AI takes over more of the rudimentary, routine, easier work, don't assume that your workload gets lighter. Often the volume of the tasks drop, but the complexity of the demands of what's left actually goes up. Before you say yes to something this week, ask whether it genuinely needs your full judgment, or whether it can be delegated, automated, or even better, dropped altogether. And when AI does free up time, resist the instinct to immediately backfill it with more work, more complex tasks. That freed up time is meant to create spaciousness, not simply raise the bar on what you're expected to absorb. Number 2, protect your cognitive capacity. This is recovery as a performance strategy, not as a reward that you earn once the work is done. Block recovery into your calendar with the same seriousness and priority that you give a board meeting. If your organization is investing in a new tool rollout, ask what's being invested in terms of the recovery for the people that will be using it. Number 3, enable your FQ, your focus quotient. I believe that our focus quotient is the super skill of the 21st century. Deep work can't happen in the gaps between meetings. It needs to be protected, undistracted blocks of time in a world handing you more judgment calls than ever. This is no longer optional. It's the difference between using AI well and drowning underneath it. Number 4, build your adaptive brain skills. I call this stress adaptability, and this is the first pillar in my pillars of powered up performance. The women who thrive through this digital shift won't be the ones avoiding discomfort. They'll be the ones who have trained their capacity and their nervous system to deliberately handle stress in small doses, so bigger disruptions don't flatten them. And number 5, create a brain positive environment. Look honestly at your physical and digital environments and ask whether they're helping your brain or are they draining it. Notifications, meeting bloat, and always on culture, none of these things are neutral. They're actively working against the very capacity that you need to protect, your brain capital. And here's the reframe I want you to leave with. Investing in your digital capital without simultaneously investing in your human capital, in particular your brain capital, is like buying a fancy car, high performance car, and never checking the engine or the person driving it. The car was never the constraint. The capacity of the driver and the refueling and the topping up of the engine is. So this week's Power Up, before you adopt or roll out one more AI tool, protect 1 hour of recovery on your calendar this week and treat it as non-negotiable, just as the rollout is itself. 1 hour, one outcome, proof to yourself that capacity isn't the thing that you sacrifice for progress. It's the thing that makes progress possible in the first place. Well, sustainable performance and progress, that is. You're not falling behind because you haven't adopted enough AI. You're not underperforming because you lack discipline or drive. If your organization or your own ambition is asking more of your judgment and your high cognitive demands than ever before, and you're exhausted, that's the bandwidth gap. And right now, it's closing in the wrong direction. I firmly believe that the organizations and the people who will pull ahead through this next chapter of digital innovation won't be the ones who are scaling their tech stack. They won't be the ones who are investing in tech the fastest. They'll be the ones who scale their human capacity, who invest in their brain capital. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. If you have liked this episode, please like and share it. Until next time, remember that your brain health isn't the bottleneck because something's wrong with you. It's the bottleneck because it was never designed to compound the way that your tech stack is currently compound. Protect your biological bandwidth accordingly. I'm Dr. Kristy Goodwin, a neuro-performance scientist, speaker, author, and executive performance coach. Thank you for listening to Spacious Success. If this episode changed how you're thinking about AI in your organization, subscribe so you never miss an episode and share it with a leader who's investing heavily in their technology and perhaps not nearly enough in the people who are using it. If these thoughts in this episode are playing out in your organization right now, this is exactly the conversation that I have on stage in the Brain Health Dividend keynote that I deliver and Powered Up Performers keynote. You can inquire more about bringing it to your team at drkristygoodwin.com.